Hello, my lovely listeners and viewers. Feel the fear and do it anyway. There was this book that explained this theory about just doing things even though you are so afraid and doing this because you are so afraid. If you are afraid, that means that there is a barrier there, there is a blockage there that it's very good for you to overcome. And during my coaching hours, I cannot tell you how many times I've spoken to people who wanted to do something, and it's very often about their career, just some sort of development, either do something to like make their name more visible, or speak up, or progress, learn, reach out to more people. Sometimes it's about fighting for their own well-being. Sometimes it's about all different things in life. And what I've observed is that when I am from a coach perspective, when I am outside this issue, this problem. So let's say someone is telling me that, someone is saying that I really want to be visible. I really want to speak to a lot of people and network and reach out, and I cannot do that. I observe other people doing that and I cannot do that. And then if we say, and if that's you, for example, if that's the issue, or if that's something that you really want to do, and I say, let's just imagine for a second that you have all the powers in the world, that you are so outspoken, that you are so extrovert, you just wake up one day and you have these powers for a day, right? First of all, how does this feel in your body? What emotions that does this bring? And then you can probably maybe feel the first kind of blisters or inklings of fear. And then what would you do? Who would you go and talk to first? Who would be this first person that you try to influence, you reach out? And again, by the magic trick, we just say that this person reacts like, oh, that's amazing, I was waiting to hear from you. What would you think? How would you react? What would you say? And this is the first thing, when a lot of people, or as people that I've spoken to, they were just so blocked, and the fear was there still, even though it was just in imagination, even though it was just something that we were creating here and there. The fear that is there in the reality, and what they are thinking that's going to happen. So they will be rejected, they will feel stupid, they wouldn't know what to say. We are just removing it with a magic wand. We just remove it, and this is just all in the field of imagination. If this question was asked, and I was thinking about this, and I know I have great imagination and I like playing, and I don't feel like I have any blockages to imagine things. When I was a child, definitely, I would imagine amazing things, castles and playing and abundance. And I always imagine this. I think I've said that about clothes. I always felt like I didn't have much to wear, like variety, and I always imagined and I dreamed it so intensely about the clothes. I wake up and there are like clothes, piles of new exciting clothes folded on my chair, and I have it now, even now in front of me. There's lots of clothes folded on my chair. And at the times when I was a teenager or a young teenager, we didn't really have this, and there was something that I really wanted to have. So anyway, I was always imagining this, and I felt like this was going to happen, and there was no fear against it. Nowadays, when we feel, for example, when we feel stuck and we are stuck somewhere, I had this conversation with someone who felt really stuck. And then while they started talking about the situation, more and more things started coming up around, oh, I had this opportunity, but I didn't do it because something else was happening. Or I feel really comfortable where I am now. At least I know this job. At least I know what I am doing. If I go there, that would be all new. I wouldn't be so comfortable. I wouldn't be so confident, maybe. Who knows? Or grass is always greener. And those things are really showing that even though we want something and we think we want it, the real barriers that are there are from us. We are putting those barriers. So first of all, our reality is what we've created, and as we know, everyone has got their own reality. So this is the first point to come out from. This is our reality. We've created us ourselves. This is how we see ourselves. If you let's say go to a person on the street and you see this person, you can create the whole life, what this person is doing, how they are behaving, how they are how their approaches. We imagine this looking at a person. When we started speaking to the person, very often that's totally not true. So this person's reality, how she or he or they see the reality, what's their political views, what their views on marriage, on children, or on everything else, where they love to live, might be totally different, how they see the world. So for example, even there is this thing when two people are sitting on the same bus, and one is looking on the left hand side and the other is looking on the right hand side. On the left hand side you have a rock, because the bus is going kind of one of those way when there is a rock on the left hand side, and on the right hand side there is an amazing view to the sea, and obviously they are turned each in their own direction, and that's what they are able to see. One is seeing a rock, so not a very exciting view, a barrier, a stopper. And the other one is seeing a sea of opportunities, amazing open view. And it only takes for this other person to turn their head. But so many of us are living in the world when we have our heads turned one way. And like this person really focused on the stuckness. I am stuck, there's no other options. And then finding reasons that there's no other options. And very easily when someone steps out and asks right questions, so I really invite you to ask yourself those right questions, is about, are you really, what is really out there? So then I was really surprised when this person was saying, actually there was a job I could apply for within the company that would take me where I wanted to be. However, something happened, I don't know, my child was unwell or something, and it's about recognizing those moments of, okay, so what's important in my life for now, I am really focused on my child. So it's not like I'm stuck. This is the situation, this is the reality, and child is very important at this moment, and I am choosing to be there for my child. And this is what it is. So once the child is well, then I can look for the things, or whatever, however you would like to frame it, right? And we know that child is going to grow up, or if child is unwell, can I go and ask someone from family to look after the child while I am applying for this job? How long applying for this job is going to take me versus my child being unwell, depending on the things that I have to do around it. So, and I am not there to give advice or saying you should do this and this and that. It's just looking into this stuckness. And if I ask myself, first of all, I never feel stuck. I always know and I recognize that these are the options. I also recognize my fears around it and the blocks and blockages I put there around it myself. And the fear, I recognize it as well. And very often, with some people is the fear of security, like let's say with the job or with a move or with going out of the relationship. There is the security of what's going to happen. At least I am secure now. At least I know the things around me. And again, the grass is always greener. So first of all, when you are looking for something and really feeling like I deserve that, I need to move, I have been in the same position for such a long time, why am I not moving? Look into exactly that and don't say to yourself why, because this question might feel a little bit like an attack. So think about, how would I feel if things moved? What one little step I can take for things to move. And for me, for example, now it's not very easy, or I don't want to say it's not very easy, but I have to sort of sometimes push myself to record the podcast and sit down and press the recording button, and sometimes it takes a couple of attempts, so I have to delete the section. So obviously it's not that easy. I want to go in the flow, and I know and I recognize that once I go onto the episode, I go with the flow and I have my little transcript in my head. So for example, today it was about fear, but it takes me some push. It's not so easy to do this, but this is my little step, one episode after another episode after another episode, and also faith that it's taking me somewhere, because the results are not always visible straight away, and it also is kind of crossing this fear of how will people what will people think? Would they like fish out that whatever my it's not perfect, that I am speaking with some breaks and that maybe sound is not perfect, or this or that, or I am saying obvious things, or maybe people don't understand, maybe the way I am talking is too fast, is too slow. So these are like fears of what the feedback is going to be. If I, let's say, become famous, quote unquote, or more people are listening to me, then I will get feedback. And as we know, with internet and social media, the feedback can be quite brutal, because lots of people, they just say it for whatever reason, they say it. So these are the fears, and it didn't happen yet. So I definitely recognize that there are those fears and those barriers in me. Let's say I want to reach out a great audience, but I also feel that, if I really, what am I going to do with this? If I reach a great audience, how am I going to deal with the feedback, with people laughing at me maybe, or saying unkind things? How am I going to do that? And also the imposter syndrome of, do I really know enough? There are scientists around, there are people who extensively studied this. There are people who do TED Talks. There are so many experts, real experts, or people with like a great presence. Do I have this great presence? I know what I have. My main things are that I am empathetic, that I am kind, that I have the positive regards towards people. Like yesterday, I saw those 3 homeless people that looked really scary, and they were trying to enter the building that I live in. They were taking drugs around this, or that's what I've heard from my neighbors. So, and I had really strong feelings of like disgust or really anger towards them. And then when I was walking and reflecting on this, I started imagining those people as babies. And I know that how the babies are treated, how the children are treated, that's what's gonna become of those children. And I had this vision of those people, of those homeless people, as really abandoned, uncared for babies. And I felt really real sadness towards them. So these are my skills, these are my qualities. I feel compassion, I feel a very strong compassion, I have great imagination, and I can also talk. And the quality of this is whatever it is, however you would like to imagine this, but these are my qualities, and I'm sure you have your own qualities that again will be different. And the more you reflect on yourself, the more you will be able to find those qualities and really appreciate them, because they might not be obvious. So again, the fears in me are those about being visible, and then my reaction to that. And I was wondering if that's what's really holding me back. Because that's what I've been observing over and over again. Even when I am, let's say, imagine that now I am very my reach out is so great, and how is my day looking out? Like, I like my freedom and my calmness, and sometimes I like being alone. What if people reach out to me all the time, and I have a lot of requests for like friends, and I have to meet with people all the time? Like, how would that feel? And then every time I go somewhere, I would be judged. That's just like, I can feel, and I can kind of sense a contraction, which I'll have to work with and bring joy to that. It bring the feeling of I will be appreciated, I will be loved, I will be really regarded as someone who, for the skills that I said. And just feel into that. So for you as well, when you find this fear that is blocking your great manifestation, whatever it is about little steps, but is about also recognizing you putting all the whys around it. Oh, I cannot do it because this, and that. How valid are those things? How would you feel if you removed it, if you had this power? How would you feel inside your body? What emotions would it bring? Would it again bring fear if I give you this magic wand and you could like stop this obstruction and stop this blockage? Or somehow you feel kind of comfortable in this blockage because yes, you say to yourself, oh, grass is always greener. Oh, what if I don't feel comfortable with that? At least I know my job. This was like a breaking point when I've heard it from someone who really wanted to progress, and then from really wanting to progress, feeling stuck, to saying, at least I know my job now. How many people operate from this? And I myself also, like, it's good and it's comfortable when you know your job and you know ins and outs. And now let's say you move to something that you know nothing about, and you have to learn, and you have to ask people, and you have to maybe fail sometimes, and you are really exposed to some judgment, right? And then your mind is creating scenarios of I am here. It's not perfect, but at least it's kind of somehow comfortable. And you know how many people are stuck in situations like this, saying that they want to get out, and then putting the cages and the whys on themselves so they don't move. And again, for example, I would like to move from this flat, from this house. I would like to go and live somewhere in the let's say area that is prettier, that is safer. I am putting all sorts of limitation of when and this happens, that's when I'm going to do this. When and this happens, when I earn more, when I'm in relationship, when I'm this, when I'm that. And these are my and these are my whys, and I stuck to them. I can feel like I stuck to them, to those whys, and I feel and I look at them and I see them as very valid. So again, it's about where I'm able to take this first step and be like, no, I'm not happy with those anymore, and I'm just taking this step. And the last thing that is my experience, and I invite you to have a similar, and I've seen it all over the social media as well, is kind of going into maybe meditation, maybe some sort of imagining. Let's say I give you $500,000, let's say $500,000. How do you feel with that? I feel happy, or I feel like expanded. I would buy this. I give you $1 million. How you feel about this? Oh, with this one, like what would I do with million or 2 million or 3 million or $100,000? What is the comfortable amount, and how your body actually feels? Does this feel expanded? Does your body feel expanded? Or does your body feel contracted and be like, oh no, that's like too big of an amount? Like when I was doing this exercise, and you can do it up and down the scale to like, what debt are you comfortable with, and like be like, are you are 10,000 pounds or $10,000 in debt? Like, how does this feel? Oh, it feel okay, I've been there, like it's easy to get out of this. I give you, so it's like, if you are 1 million in debt, that kind of brings, for me, it kind of brought laughing. Like I didn't feel nothing about this, and I felt like that was not possible at all whatsoever. That was like a laughing matter. I will never get there, and I know that, and I feel that. Now, it's what's interesting when I have this exercise, and someone said, I'm giving you, you have $5 million in your bank account. Oh, that brought kind of fear. It brought constraint in my like chest. I don't know why. And now I'm working with this, and it doesn't necessarily bring emotions like this, but definitely this is just imaginary amount, and this, even imagining this, brings emotions and feelings into my body, which is so interesting, because none of this is actually happening in a 3D. But for some reason, when I said to this person, or when I say to myself, I said to this person, let's play in imaginative world. You can say anything to someone. It brought such an uncomfortable feeling to the person, they could not do it. And then the same, if I say to you, or if I say to myself, I'm giving you $5 million, it's there, it's on your account. For me now, when I say that, I am like, wow, that's what I was waiting for. This finally happened. I knew it was going to happen. It's almost like a tingling and like butterflies in my stomach. Like I knew this. That's how I was supposed to be all this time. And everything that I've done brought me to this moment. Now I can freely receive and freely give. There's so many things I would like to do. I went through this of like responsibility, or not deservedness, or kind of, I don't remember what else there was definitely a lot of those feelings when I was going through this exercise that was kind of blocking the receiving. And the same as in imaginative world, if we say, I am stuck, I feel stuck, now you are unstuck, I unstuck you. This is the power of me through the internet. I unstuck you. What would you do? Just feel the unstuckness, one little thing, and then see the reasoning coming in. Oh, I can because this, oh, I can because that. How would you feel? How would you know that this is going to be like that? let's say, oh, I want to do something, but this person would feel very, let's say, hurt. How do you know she would feel hurt? What would you do if she didn't feel hurt? How would you imagine that she is not feeling hurt? What could you do that she feels less hurt? And how felt would she feel? How would you feel? You know, things and questions around this, and then really trying to avoid the why. Yeah, why brings a kind of not very good connotation with it. Why makes you want to explain it? So try to avoid the why question, and yeah, and feel the fear, and feel the blockages, the boundaries, and see, oh, it's interesting, I feel fear around it, and I give explanation to my fear, and I hold this fear dearly. And obviously fear, I'm not saying the fear is bad. I am not for once I said that. Fear is very useful, it holds us sometimes, and the fear is like something that you give to our life as like salt, like pepper, a little bit fear here, a little bit happiness there, and this makes our life flavorsome, and it helps us to digest some situation, to not go there because it's really dangerous. And fear is needed, as is everything else, but fear in some situation is good to be reflected on, is good to be made friends with, and it's good to overcome. And fear is something that stands at the borders of our comfort zones. And if we build a big comfort zone and then we walk and we are like, oh, I'm still in this comfort zone, I wonder what's beyond it. I'm really curious what's beyond my comfort zone. I grew so much that the comfort zone became too small. I am stuck, and then bam, there is a big wall of fear, and it's just like, don't go there. Grass is not always greener. You stay where you are. It's very comfortable here. Okay, I've outgrown it, but so what? Who knows what's out there? And then you are like, I see you fear, you've been very helpful, let me take this one brick so I can have one little peek through the wall. And you take the one brick out, that's your one little action, and then you look through the hole and you are like, oh, that looks interesting, a little bit scary. And the wall goes like, I told you it is scary. And you are like, but let me take another little brick. And brick by brick, you build a door, you build a hollow in this wall, and then you come out, and then there is unknown, and then you make it your comfortable zone again. And it's so fulfilling, and it's so, again, it could be terrifying, but then you build another comfort zone and you are like, oh, okay, that's my comfort zone. Do I want to come out? I don't know if there is another wall, maybe not yet. Maybe you see, like this person from the bus, you see a great sea and you are like, wow, that's so many options and opportunities there. I thought that was a great picture of that I just painted for you. Then that was my metaphor and my imagination working just for you. I give you all the power that I can to be able to take the first steps and to really observe yourselves and what's holding you back. And I do the same for myself. I speak to you soon. Bye bye.